Welcome to Audible Sportscast, your home for all things sports. Welcome back, everybody, to another amazing episode today. We got Brett and Jeff here today. How are you, Brett?
I'm excellent. You?
You know, my fantasy teams are 3-4, 1-6. But I've made money betting, so it's a great day and a great week. Speaking of weeks, another week of football. Right down the drain, but don't worry. We've got another one right behind it to go to. We're getting close to the halfway, but we're still 3 weeks away, really, from halfway point. So we still got plenty of football. Obviously, basketball is in full swing now for anyone who likes to watch, regular season basketball. We got hockey going, baseball. Hey, World Series starts Friday. Astros, Phillies. I don't know if anyone. I'm guessing most of the world, other than Houston, is rooting for the Phillies. If I have to guess.
I'm actually rooting for Houston.
I didn't know you like cheaters.
No, I just want the Mattress Mac to make a bunch of money on his bets.
Has he not made enough money? For anyone who doesn't know, Mattress Mac is really famous.
And you know my background, so I guess that's why I'm biased.
Yeah, hey, that's fair. You gotta root for somebody. But hey, we're not here to talk baseball because we don't really know baseball. We should, but we don't.
I think we should get right into these exciting games of the week. I think.
Oh no! You cannot skip over what we normally start with just because you did bad. We every time we start with fantasy starts and sits. We both got our one start, our one sit. Brett, I said you did bad, but you really didn't if you think about it, because you told people to sit James Robinson, who now, hey, he's on the Jets now in a trade.
I wouldn't sit him now.
No, but he got 0 points this week. So
he's splitting carries with Carter, though. So
yeah, but he's gonna. You don't just trade for a running back after your, RB1 goes down.
Correct. I
and on an expiring contract if you don't expect something. But you told people to sit him. He got 0 points. But you told people to start someone who also had 0 points in Romeo Doubs. And we'll talk a little bit about the Packers later, but he had several drops on like fourth downs, on just anything. It was just awful.
Yep.
But what do you got for the people this week?
Okay, I think my sleeper quarterback start is Jimmy G.
Ah, interesting.
The Rams just aren't. And is McCaffrey playing this week? I think he is.
Well, McCaffrey was on, I don't know if it was a snap count or what, but he played, I would say, a lot more than a lot of people probably projected because he's only there for 2 days.
But, yeah, that's right.
He's got a week under his belt, so he will probably get a good amount of the snaps.
Then my
But kind of sticking with that Jimmy G for a second. I kind of like that, though. When you think about the McCaffrey, backfield, they use that a little bit. Kittle had his best game of the year so far last week. Not to mention, you know what you're getting from Debo and Ayuk. This could be a good week. The Rams scare me just because we know what they could be, especially on that defensive side. Ramsey, Donald. Even Bobby Wagner can still make plays, but I kind of like that for at least a sleeper start. But what do you got for the sit?
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Going against the Bills defense
and he's just it's.
But hey, these are normally the kind of games where as soon as people completely shut down on the Packers, that's when Rodgers shows out the most. But this seems completely different than any other year.
But yeah, for him and others. But we'll talk about that later. My start is actually sleeper start is the Commanders defense.
Not bad. I mean, we don't really know. Sam Ellinger is getting the start now for a injured slash just what seems broken Matt Ryan. So
Shoulder injuries, but they're saying he's just shut down for the year. It's not like
say whatever you want to say about it. I mean, Sam Ellinger is the starting quarterback now. No one knows really what to expect from him.
I think there's going to be some young heirs.
Exactly, and I mean, Matt Ryan, no matter how bad he was still running for. I mean, he had zero time. So
yeah, considering that offensive line in theory should be good.
Yeah, but I mean, Ellinger is a better scrambler. I mean, he kind of was a little bit known for that at Texas. So who knows what to expect? But
Commanders are coming off a big win.
Exactly. Not to mention that's a good defense, I would say. So
a lot of speed.
I would, if you can pick up, especially if you can pick them up, because a lot of times a defense like Washington chills in waivers, so pick them up. Use a waiver wire for them.
Now what do you got?
Let's talk about last week for a second. I told people to start D-Hop. Some people were worried. I mean, most people probably started him just because it's D-Hop. He ended up having a good week, 20-some points. But for some reason in my mind, I thought it'd be a good idea to tell people to sit Aaron Jones. Why I would say agreed. That? You did. So we're both dumb for that. He ended up having 28 some points. So we're dumb. Maybe don't listen to us when it comes to fantasy advice. I don't know. Take it as you will. Yeah. But for this week, I have two quarterbacks. One's going to be a start. One's going to be a sit. One is coming off a week where he had decent numbers, and this matchup this week I feel like is just really good for him to have a good week, a week that kind of shows how he was before he got hurt, but that is Tua. Not even going to attempt to pronounce the last name because I never could.
I agree. I think it's too. It's going to go. I don't know. There's a chance I think maybe he just goes off, but I doubt it.
I mean, they have the Detroit Lions this week, who, I mean, other than last week against the Cowboys, have been statistically the worst defense in the NFL. So, I mean, it's just not a good matchup for the Detroit Lions. So I gotta go Tua, but I gotta sit. He's my boy, but. He's coming off his best game of the year. People probably think now's the time to get on the hype train, but going against a really good defense, I think you got to sit Justin Fields for those people who are wondering to pick him up. Not a lot of people have.
It's the logical play.
It is, and some people aren't too sure if he is a viable starting quarterback yet. I mean, last week was kind of a really great game, but who knows? Who knows? I'd like to see a little bit more out of Justin Fields before I think, he is startable, which, I mean, I drafted him in both of my fantasy leagues a long time ago and cut him, unfortunately. So hopefully maybe I can pick him up and he just chill on the bench for a little bit until I know he's worthy of starting. But those are our fantasy starts and sits for the week. If you have any fantasy advice you need, just, hit us up on the socials that are always linked down below. But next up, we have our, of course, always games of the week. Our games we think that are going to be the most exciting to watch. And we're also telling you how we think it's either going to go or who's going to win. But Brett, give me your first one.
No, it's your turn to start first.
Okay. My first one is a NFC matchup that I think can be really fun, high offensive game. We have the Arizona Cardinals coming off, I would say, their best win of the season, coming into Minnesota to play the Minnesota Vikings. I think this is going to be a really fun game when you look at how both these teams right now offensively are playing at a really good level, and a team like the Cardinals in a really tough division, they need this win, and a team like the Vikings where the rest of that division's kind of not at their level right now, so they want to kind of spread themselves apart from the rest, not to mention They're right now one of the top teams in the NFC, and they want to keep that going. And at home against a Cardinals defense, I am not the biggest fan of. I gotta go Vikings. And also, you have to think, there's always these jokes about Kyler Murray every time Call of Duty, all that stuff. A new Call of Duty comes out this weekend. I'd like to see how he plays because all the stats.
I don't buy it.
Literally every single stat I have ever seen shows when there's a double XP or a new Call of Duty comes out, he doesn't play well. So those are the stats. Since this is an analytical game nowadays, you gotta follow the analytics. So I'd love to be, proven wrong, but until he can prove us all wrong, I gotta go Vikings.
I agree.
The next up, I have a game that if you would have told me maybe even any other time in the season, this is going to be an interesting or fun game, I would have told you, what the heck, no. But because of how the rest of this division is playing, this game right here could set up a potential, like, who's going to win this division. Because of certain teams like Tampa Bay and New Orleans not playing well, I think the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons could be a game to watch this week. Now, Carolina's on their, third string quarterback. PJ Walker played really well. They traded away Christian McCaffrey, but they have these two running backs in Chuba Hubbard, and Donta Foreman, who ran really well last week against a Tampa team other than this year has been known to be a really good run defense. So this game right here could be a really fun game if you love running, because obviously the Falcons refuse to pass the ball. So this could be a game where, I don't know what you bet on, but if there's things of total rushing yards for the game, hit the over if there is one.
I think it's an interesting game to watch.
Oh, definitely. And when you think about the whole NFC South to begin with, this really could be a game where, say the Falcons win this, which I think they will, this is a key division win, and with the way the Buccaneers are playing, they could be at the top of the division by the end of the week. Because Tampa plays the Ravens, and that I really don't know about that game.
More to talk about that later.
Okay. But before I say my last game, why don't you give me yours? Your three.
Well, okay, fair. There's a lot of exciting games. Okay.
Agree to disagree.
But here, I think one of the most watched games is going to be Bears-Cowboys.
I would not disagree with that. Two big fan bases.
Because after how the Bears dismantled the Patriots, which typically would scheme for a quarterback like Fields and try to make his life miserable. And I think people are, because the Cowboys' defense, and they want to see if the Bears are going to repeat that.
Do they?
My other game, I think so.
Are you saying this with your heart or with your head?
With my head.
Okay. All right. Well, I would love to see the Bears win this game, but
I'm not even going to say a win or loser on that.
No. You picked it to be a game to watch. You got to say who wins or loses it.
I'm a Bears fan, but I'm going to say the Cowboys. But I think the Bears play pretty well. I think it's a close game.
So with the spread being -9 for the Cowboys right now, you say go bet on the Bears right now at +9?
Yep.
I respect it. Especially, Dak last week didn't seem to be playing at his full strength there, at least in the beginning. So, hey, anything can happen any given Sunday. I love saying it, but what's your next game?
Yep. You got to go Seahawks, Giants.
I agree. That's actually my third game.
How can't you?
I agree.
I just don't see how.
Fun fact, it is the only game this week where both teams have a winning record. Who would have thought?
Yeah. If you would have told me last year that Daniel Jones would be what he is right now, I would have been like, you're crazy.
I mean, you can say it to the other side, too, for Geno Smith. Both of these guys are playing top offensive quarterback
Correct.
play. And none of us would have expected it. And, I mean, I deep in my mind thought that Seahawks would potentially go winless. Same with Giants. I mean, I think I had them winning 2 games. So, who's the idiot here? Me, obviously.
My third.
You're forgetting again. Who's winning it? These aren't just the games to watch. These are the games. Seahawks? I agree. The 12s will be loud. It's in Seattle. And while both of these teams are good running.
And that defense is playing great for Seattle. And they have Richard Sherman 2.0.
Yeah, they had a really good rookie class. I know I've kind of dissed it quite a bit, but early on, but that was more because it didn't make sense for who they drafted at the time, but now it does. I mean, it's all working out. They had a really good rookie class.
Well, Pete Carroll's a great defensive drafter.
Yeah. I mean, don't give him all the credit, but hey, I got the Seahawks 2-12s are going to be
Rams 49ers.
I thought about that game.
The Ravens Bucks is my alternate, but I don't know. I think the other games just seem more exciting to me.
Yeah.
That's
and last time,
you know.
this is already a matchup they've had before, the 49ers and the Rams. They've already played earlier in the week. And, it's kind of like the Panthers-Falcons. This is a game both of these teams really need, especially since none of them had sit at the top of the division when a lot of people thought these were the top 2 teams in that division. And with the Rams struggling right now, they desperately need a win. With the 49ers kind of having a tough last couple of weeks, they need a win. They just got went and traded for Christian McCaffrey. They kind of need to show people hey, we are in it to win it, and we did this trade because of it. So I don't know who I would pick to win this game if I had to, but you have to. So who's winning it?
49ers.
Okay.
By 10.
By 10? Ooh. That is, for a divisional game like this, ooh.
They have a good D-line, and they have tons of weapons. Ramsey can only cover 1.
That's true, but Aaron Donald can get to the quarterback to cover the rest. But, hey.
But I think the 49ers offensive line is twice as good as the...
That's true. Trent Williams been banged up. He's back now. You just get better when you get at a guy like McCaffrey, especially with him healthy. So it'll be a fun game. It's always fun when these 2 teams play. And I just realized I didn't even say what our records were for the games of the week. Brett.
Well, here we go.
You were 2-1 last week, bringing your record for the whole season to 7-8. That's pretty good. Kind of. Not really.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 500, but...
Nope. Just one below. If you could have done a little bit better this week or any week, really.
Oh, pish posh.
But me last week, guess what I did? I swept 3-0, 12-7 for the season. That's the second time I swept. Sick. And if anyone's wondering, I do bet on every single game that I pick. So I've won me some money. But that's besides the point. It's not about winning money. It's about having fun watching football. And something we've kind of thought about, we've seen how fun the AFC side is at having fun. The Eagles, and the rest of the NFC East is looking good. The NFC in total haven't really looked that well. These 2 teams, or really 3 teams if you count the Rams, Packers, and Bucks, the 3 teams people not only expected to be on the top, but have been on the top the last couple years, are nowhere to be seen.
I agree.
And so, yes, everyone's always talking about, is Tom Brady and is Aaron Rodgers, do they still have it? I bring that question to you, Brett. Does Tom Brady, or do...
Well, first I'm actually going to start... We're going to stay on this topic, but who's the best quarterback in the NFC now?
Well, if it's not Aaron Rodgers, if it's not Tom Brady, and if it's not Matt Stafford, which at one time when people thought Rodgers is going to retire. And when Brady did retire, people thought it was Matt Stafford. I know we've had this conversation before, but when you when you look at quarterbacks, there's really two things you look at when you're talking about who's the best, especially like in a season. You look at record and you look at stats. And okay, look at there is 4 teams right now in the NFC. No, not 4 teams, 5 teams in the NFC that have a winning record. Okay, so that immediately narrows it down, I would say, to those 5 teams. And when you look at stats, there is one quarterback. When you look at NFC quarterback stats, that is first in completion percentage, also first in the NFL for completion percentage, first in touchdowns, first in QB rating, and second in the NFC in passing yards. Okay, all that combined, you have to say Geno Smith right now is the best quarterback in the NFC. From that groan, I'm going to guess you do not agree with me.
No, I agree off your metrics. But then I think the next 2 is Hurts and Jones.
When you look at playing and everything like that, I would agree with that. They are putting them.
Kirk Cousins at 4.
Okay, I'll allow it, but
you can't say Brady or Rodgers. Or Stafford.
But how much of I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers here for a second. Yeah, Tom Brady, he's passing the ball a lot.
He actually didn't play bad. It was the defense that.
Not only the defense, but everything around. I know a lot of times
special teams.
For several of the other Aaron Rodgers or the Packers games, it's just a mixture of everything. Whether that is him playing, the play calling, special teams, offense, defense, the lines, the receivers. But this game really felt like, I would say, Rodgers' maybe best game of the season. But nothing around him seemed to be working. There were several times, whether that was like on a 4th down, he would throw the ball. Was it the best pass? No, but there was drops. Turnover on downs.
And I believe I did say Aaron Jones for receiving was the only benefit to him last week. And he did well.
Oh, he did well. I mean, he caught himself a receiving touchdown. That was really great on both of their parts to kind of put them back in that game. But there were several times where all Rodgers did, he run out of the pocket, throw a deep ball, maybe not wide open, but a perfect spot on ball drop. And when you mix that with the fact that that offensive
Brady
line
had the same issue with better receivers. Yeah.
So yes, they aren't playing good, but how much can you put on them when everything surrounding
Geno Smith is going to lose his top spot, though, because he lost his number 1 receiver.
Maybe, but when you look at the fact that team is able to run the ball as good as they are, the fact that he is able to complete the passes, I mean, is the best receiving core in Seattle? No, but they have guys. They have several tight ends to throw into. You have a multitude of other receivers. I mean, people forget about Marquise Goodwin. He has made some plays for them, especially last week. And top that up with Kenneth Walker right now is looking like one of the top. I would
Lockett.
What? Yeah, Lockett too. I think he'll be okay. I mean, we'll see. This is one of our games to watch, so maybe keep an eye on which quarterback between.
I think sleeper to come up the ranks is Jimmy G.
I don't know. He is not the thing with when you also want to be.
But Trent Williams just is coming back too.
I know.
That's
but
huge.
You also got to look at, are these quarterbacks putting themselves in winnable positions? Obviously, I would say Daniel Jones is doing that
with
better
weapons
than any other quarterback.
Yes.
The fact that he has, I would say, 0 weapons. I mean, Saquon and then Darius Slayton has brought himself back into.
He lost his best receiver.
I mean, they're without several receivers, and if you count the Kenny Galladay situation, well, he could be, but money won him. It seems like, but
yep.
I would. Right now, Geno Smith is currently the best quarterback in the NFC when you look at the analytics side. But I could agree with the argument of Daniel Jones being the better quarterback maybe by the end of this week.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
But Hurts too.
I agree. Hurts honestly doesn't get the credit he deserves for kind of putting in the work. But at the same time,
It's because that defense is stealing the show.
that is true. That defense is playing really good. But at the same time, the other two quarterbacks, they've had the best, arguably the best, some of the best rushing offenses paired with, just everyone is playing well.
All three of them.
That is true. And that feels like something we always say for these NFC teams. Because when you look at the history of the NFC since forever, it's a new team almost every single year that's kind of this top team. And it's always because, these teams finally get, acclimated. They get, their roster healthy. They get, some young guys in there, some new old veterans, whatever the case is. And, a team will go on a run for a year or two, and they're the top team in the NFC, where in the AFC, for the longest time, it was Manning. It was Brady. Now Mahomes kind of is coming in, so it's now Mahomes and Allen in that spot. But the NFC...
Well, Mahomes and Allen are light years ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, and kind of sticking with talking about Rodgers here for a second, Rodgers, you can argue, has been the... When you talk about talent, statistically the best quarterback since he's been the starter, but has one Super Bowl to kind of call for it. So this is a team game, and we're seeing it with the Bucs, we're seeing it with the Packers, we're seeing it with the Rams. You can't just have a top quarterback. I mean, even when Tampa won the Super Bowl, they had an amazing defense, a defense that kept Mahomes.
And their O-line was better.
I mean, this year they don't even have they have the worst rushing offense in the NFL.
That's because playoff Lenny. Here's what I was gonna say is, if I'm a young NFC team like the Seahawks, the Giants, and the Eagles, okay, my biggest fear is letting not only one of the Buccaneers and the Packers sneak into the playoffs because if that happens, those teams that might have way better records, well, they will have way better records than all three. The Seahawks, will have a better record than Tampa and, I believe, and Green Bay. But if you allow them to sneak in the playoffs, that's when they're super dangerous.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We're not even halfway through the season yet, and we're talking like these teams are like winless. The Packers,
the Giants are for
Packers,
real in my
Bucks,
opinion. The Seahawks I'm not sold on yet, and the Eagles are for real. The Giants and Eagles are for real, and the Cowboys, but I don't think the Cowboys to me are the third best in that division. As crazy as that
I think
sounds.
with a healthy Dak, that because we haven't really been able to see Dak this year. He's been hurt.
No, but I think they are third, in my opinion.
In the NFC East?
Yes.
Even though the Cowboys beat the Giants with Cooper Rush.
That was before the Giants got hot.
Okay, but I'm just saying, we're not even in midseason yet, and the Packers, Bucks...
That's just my opinion. I'm entitled to it,
but the Packers, Bucks,
sir.
and Rams are only 3-4. We're talking like they're winless. And just about every team other than the NFC East, really, is really close. I mean, the entire NFC East is almost 3-4.
I got a question for you. And I want this unbiased, okay?
Oh, boy. I know where this is going already.
If the Bears beat the Cowboys...
That's a big if.
No. If they did, how serious do you take them as unbiased, as a contender for the year?
A contender or a playoff hopeful? Because there's a difference.
Playoff hopeful.
It would cross my mind, but at the same time, how are they winning this game? Is it Dak is just having a horrible game? is the
Bears
defense
defense
showing.
is for real. Statistically.
I after one good week, that's all I can say about
No,
that.
and they've played some good first halves. But
Not really.
if the Bears can move the ball like on the Giants or on the Cowboys defense, that'll prove a lot.
Yeah, it would prove a lot because, one, the Cowboys have a top 3 defense, maybe even top 1 defense, arguably. So, yeah, it would be very impressive for them to do it. And this is why I say it's a big if, because, yes, you maybe might not be as high on the Cowboys as some, but that's a really good team from top to bottom. The Bears are missing a lot. And yes, even if they are well coached, and some people argue the Cowboys are not, say what you want about Mike McCarthy, they're in a very good spot right now. And the Bears, you might think the Bears defense
I don't
is
think
good.
they're in a very good spot.
Why not?
I think that because they're in the toughest division in the league right now.
Okay, well, just almost every other division isn't where at their level right now. So you can argue it, and especially with the change of there being 3 wild card teams, that whole division right now could arguably get in with how the rest of the NFC looks. So hey, why not bring the entire NFC East in the playoffs? That doesn't change much. I mean, the Cowboys don't get a home field advantage through any of it, but home field advantage is pretty important in the playoffs, but still.
Yeah. I think we're getting sidetracked here, but we were on quarterback play, really. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting week, I think.
And I agree.
I'm very excited for this week in football.
And I think, I know I keep saying this, but we're not even halfway through the season
Any given
yet.
Sunday, boys.
There is so much that can still happen in the NFL. A team that, some of these lower teams like maybe can't go on a run, but there's some divisions that who knows what's going to happen. The amount of teams
I'm excited.
Right now,
the trade deadline is not over yet. So
that's true. There can be so much that can happen at the trade deadline. There can be so much that just happens. I hate to say it, but injury related. There can be anything can happen, and this is
Sunday.
Any given Sunday. And this season, out of any other season, feels like the most that anything really can happen. That every single team right now, it feels like is very close, whether that's, when looking at how close games are going, how close just teams are in general with their records. And it's super exciting. And as we kind of talk about it, the NFC is wide open. You might say there's some legit teams, but I honestly say there is wide openness in the NFC. AFC, on the other hand,
absolutely.
We'll save that for another day. So that's all we have.
We were basically focusing on NFC this week. We'll do AFC next week.
Maybe. There's not much to say about the AFC.
Let's go later in the year.
Well,
but I think that's all we got for everybody today, huh?
Yeah, that's all we got. Just, hey, make sure like, comment, subscribe, follow. Do all those fancy things. Make sure you're following our social medias. They're always linked down below because, hey, we're tweeting.
Hold on. You guys really should follow our social medias because Jeff's got some good. He's been doing really well on some FanDuel and stuff like that. So maybe he's got good advice.
If you follow us on our socials, you'll see that we have started to post locks of the week. And I went we went 2-1 in our very first one. So hey, depending on how you hedge that, you could have made yourself a little bit of money. And it was very close. Or if you have questions,
message us. And, if you have questions about, gambling, fantasy, just message us.
No, or just sports in general. What do you want us to hear? What do you want us to talk about? What do you, if you want to just talk, if you're lonely, talk to us. Don't be weird about it, but do it. But, hey, just make sure the one thing only, watch football this weekend. Lots of it. It's going to be fun. Baseball, football, basketball. I'm sure in other countries there's like rugby or whatever.
Football.
Yeah, depending on what you call football. But hey, that's all we got. Have a
All
good
right,
weekend,
guys, later.
everybody. See ya.
Thanks for listening to Audible Sportscast, your home for all things sports.